I go out in warm-ups and, like, there's already the bleachers full and everything, and I'm like, there's no way. Like, I just had to sit back and smile because, like, to be a tiny part of that and, like, the growth in women's soccer as a whole, like, as a sport, is something that's so amazing.
First off, congratulations.
Thank you.
What y'all did this year is really hard to do. And as we were just saying, before we started, was it doesn't matter what sport you're in. Going undefeated in SEC play in anything is extremely, extremely difficult. Just kind of tell us about the year y'all just had. I know it's going into postseason play now. Y'all are going to head into the SEC tournament. But tell us about it. What do you got on the year?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously been extremely special, something that's kind of like surreal when you look back on it, and obviously still getting to be a part of it moving forward is something that's awesome. I think this year was like a little bit different. The feel was different. We have a lot of returners. Pretty much everybody that was here was also here in the spring, so all of our freshmen, we had like 10 people coming in, I think 7 freshmen, like 3 transfers. Mm-hmm. So it was huge to get everybody in the spring together and have no kind of new people coming in the fall because that's like a harder transition. So I think the spring really set like the groundwork of like what we wanted to do in the fall and really got people on board, not only like from a soccer standpoint, like physical standpoint, but also like culture and like, what we want to bring to the table in terms of like work rate and what we stand for as a group. So I think the spring was huge in terms of just like camaraderie and stuff and being able to like come together, and then also having the veteran group kind of like bringing those 7 new girls in, like the babies, and then the 3 transfers in was huge. And then the summer was really hard. Vic, our strength coach, is like phenomenal, but he definitely kind of put us through it. And what my message was before the Texas A&M game to the group was like, hey, the SEC championship is not going to be won today. Like, it was won at 6 a.m. on a July morning at, like when we're running stadiums or whatever. Like, it wasn't right now that kind of led to this moment. Yeah, this is a big moment. I'm not going to downplay it, but think about everything we've done before this. Not all of this is riding on this one entire moment. And so I think really the whole feel around this fall was like taking everything day by day. And we've done some awesome things, like huge things that honestly, like I never thought we would accomplish just because it is so hard in this conference. But really just taking it day by day, putting our heads down and working. And then I remember, at the beginning of non-conference or like right before SEC play came out, we were ranked 6, like predicted to finish 6. And I think we just took that and kind of ran with it. We were like, okay, all of us kind of giggled and we're like, we know we're so much better than this, but it was kind of like a little bit of fuel to the fire and was like, all right, let's like show them what we're about. So, just really focusing day by day, I think has been the biggest thing for us.
It's really cool to hear you talk about the culture of it because I remember last year, y'all's season last year, y'all had some really like pivotal wins that really kind of saw like, hey, this is like something special they're doing. Mm-hmm. And you just talked about culture, and you've been voted team captain by your peers since your redshirt sophomore year. And you still are this year, and that speaks volumes of kind of who you are as a person, what you're doing as a teammate there. And kind of talk to us about like how the culture has been set apart from this summer and all that. Like, I'm talking about years past, because this, like you just said, this seems to be something you're building. Is that something the coaching staff's really implemented, or is it more so like the players, a little bit of both? What you got?
Yeah, I definitely think it's been both throughout the years. So obviously, I kind of came in with James, so he might have been like a semester before I came in, but we got here about the same time. And ever since he got in, like he was always talking about how we're blue collar, how we're always like based on grit, discipline. stuff like that. And so he really implemented like these core value words into our program. And then I think it was on the players to like take them and run with them, because, you know, you can talk about things and say, oh, this is who we are, like on paper. But when it comes down to it, like if you're really not like doing it in actions, like it doesn't matter. So I think it was a little bit of both, you know, like James and Nick and had that vision of like what they wanted the program to be and like what was going to get us there. And I think it was like the players really taking it on board. And I think people like, I have so much respect for like Alyssa Deloise and Ange Tyrell, who were captains with me and before me. So my freshman year, they were the captains. Then I became captains with them my sophomore year. But they really were role models to me in the way that they carried themselves and led. And I learned so much just about their leadership styles and like things that I could take on board and kind of like adapt it to be my own. And I think what the girls did that, you know, 2020, 2021 season, on paper, it probably didn't look amazing, but I think in the locker room, like it really started to get things going and became like a catalyst for years moving forward. And obviously it was super pivotal for me in just terms of my growth and like leadership and stuff, being able to kind of work alongside with them and learn more about me and also like grow under them.
Yes, something at this university that's kind of always, when I was here and before me and even now, is people like blue-collar teams. It's kind of who Mississippi is. We're blue-collar state. And just looking at y'all's year this year, 10-0 in SEC play, 2 goals allowed in 10 games in SEC play. Like that speaks volumes about being blue-collar. Like y'all aren't letting anybody get inside the net without earning it. And that's really cool. Kind of hearing you say what y'all's plan is, y'all's vision is, and then seeing it being executed this year is really, really like special. But awesome about this year and what y'all are building. But kind of go back on how you got here.
Yeah, so I played soccer my entire life. I was really a one sport kind of gal throughout the years. I did have a basketball run maybe in 8th grade. Really gave that up really quickly. Wasn't too good, but that's okay, right? But yeah, really kind of focused on soccer. Loved it growing up. My sophomore year, I ended up committing to Vandy. Everything was great. I was super excited. I was doing well. And then I feel like I got to a place where kind of my whole self-worth and like identity was like based in my sport. And I came like obsessed with it, and everything revolved. Like if I was playing good at soccer, like I was so happy. If I was playing bad at soccer, like I like hated my life. And so it became super, super unhealthy. And then that mixed in with like some family issues. And then obviously just like high school stuff that, you know, everybody goes through. I think like my world was kind of like crashing down in front of me because I had no sense of like self outside of like my sport. And so like I was doing good at soccer, but then I would have family issues and stuff. I'd be like, oh, you know, no big deal. But then when I was like doing not well and then other stuff was going on, I was like, this is not okay. So I got to a point where I was like, if I go into my freshman year at Vandy, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to like do well in school, like much less contribute meaningfully to a team. And like also just like doing right by myself. Like I don't even know if I'm going to be happy, you know, because I don't know what makes me happy outside of like kicking a ball well, if that makes sense. And so 2019, I said, you know what? I'm done. Like, I don't want to play soccer anymore. I want to stay home. I want to go to a small school. You know, I want to grow the connections back with my family. I want to focus on myself. Like, I want to go to therapy. I want to figure out who I am. And so I did. You know, I stayed home. Worked a job at Kroger, and it was a very interesting time in my life. You know, I look back and I really wish I could give myself a hug during that time period because I really was so lost in it all. But I think obviously now, like finding the peace in that it had to happen, and I'm so glad it did. But yeah, so went through that year of not playing soccer. And then I had a super close friend throughout the years in elementary school, middle school, high school, Lainey Steed, who went to Florida. And she played soccer there. And so I was going to go visit her one weekend. I think it was around like this time, like a couple weeks before the SEC tournament. They were hosting one of like their last games. This was her freshman year. And I went, watched like 2 training sessions, watched a game, and I kind of, on my drive home, I was like, I feel like I'm truly missing out on something. Like, I wish I would have at least tried. Like, yeah. I understand in the time frame, like when I chose to quit, it was completely valid. But now, like, that I'm doing a little bit better, you know, that I'm seeing myself for who I am, that I've had this time to reflect, like, is this something that I'm going to regret moving forward, that I didn't at least, you know, give it a shot? And so I got home, kind of talked about it with my parents, and it put a big smile on their face, because whenever I quit, they were like pretty upset, as they should be. I understand why. But talked to them. Then I called my club coach, and I like mentioned it, and I was like, hey, this could be totally crazy. Like, obviously I just quit for a year, and, you know, haven't touched a soccer ball since, but I think I want to try this. And he's like, okay, we can do that if you want to. Like, we can reach out to schools. And so we reached out to a couple that I'd previously talked to. Pretty much they were saying, like, you know, you've quit for a year, like, you can walk on, like, earn your spot and everything. And I was like, yeah, okay. But at this point, you know, I was happy that people were even speaking to me, and like super grateful. And then I had talked to Mississippi State previously, like in my sophomore year in my recruiting process, when James and Nick and Brian weren't here. So I reached back out, but obviously James, Nick, and Brian were here, their coaching staff. And I knew Nick growing up forever, since I was like little girl, because he was working at Columbus State, which is like close to where I'm from. Mm-hmm. Brian was my first visit ever, actually, like when I was a freshman, to Georgia Southern. And then James, like I just kind of knew James from, you know, he was at Auburn and stuff. So it kind of like aligned perfectly. And it was like 3 people that I knew, and like they knew who I was. And so it kind of like came down to them taking a chance on me. And they always say I had to take a chance on them. I had nothing to lose at the point, you know, like It was kind of what I wanted to do. And it was such a great option for me, you know, that they even were going to let me come in here. So I feel like in my head, it was a no-brainer to come in and work with the staff that was here. And so, yeah, they brought me in when I first got here. It was definitely a period of like, what am I doing? Like, because you go from not playing for a year, and like you think you know like what being in shape is. You think you know what like training's like, and then you come here in this college environment, obviously like at this level. And I remember like my first week, I was like, wow, like this is really hard. And my mom's like, you know, you just got to keep going. Like, give yourself a couple weeks. And then I gave myself a couple weeks. Like, I made some super amazing friends already. Like, I really enjoyed school outside of soccer. And then I like saw my life becoming more about like everything else that I have to offer rather than just soccer. So I think it was kind of like a huge turning point, because I was like, yeah, of course, like everything's super hard here, and like it is super soccer focused, but like I'm seeing myself grow in ways like that I didn't have the opportunity to when I was at home. And yeah, so a couple years later, here I am. But it's a very, very obviously interesting way of getting here. Yeah. But I'm happy that it happened.
See, I've known Nick for a few years, and the energy he brings is awesome.
Yeah.
Watching him, I remember watching videos. I was in season this year, kind of away, but I remember checking, you know, some sort of social media page, and I remember Nick walking into a fraternity house, just like fist pumping, raising the roof, like, y'all get out here, we need you. Like, the energy that he brings is it's unmatched, and it's awesome to see what y'all are doing this year.
Thank you.
Talk to us a little bit about the teammates. What do you got going into postseason play? What's some things to look out for everyone that's going to be following along y'all's postseason journey?
Yeah, I mean, I think just like to continue doing what we're doing. Obviously, I think we're playing super good soccer right now. We want to continue to grow off that, but even more importantly, we're playing really good defense.
Yeah.
And I think is like really the catalyst of what's setting us up for success. And I have to credit Drago, who came in the spring. We hired him as an assistant coach. He really kind of shifted the culture of like what it meant to defend and why we defend, because we always like want to attack, we want to have the ball, we want to score goals, but the reality is like you're not always going to have the ball. And so really like honing in on those principles that he brought, and just honestly like the culture he brought around it, is awesome. He calls like the defense and Maddie, or the goalkeeper, he calls them brick line. So it's not the defense, it's the brick line, like, because they're laying the bricks to, like, stop everything. But so I think that, just keep being us, keep being blue collar, like, really playing that defense. Then obviously when we get the ball, like, transitioning, having the quality that we always have. But yeah, I think the foundation of what we're doing right now is just, like, how hard we want to defend, and we want to. And I feel like that's not always the case in soccer. Like, everybody wants to have the ball. And, yeah, we want to have the ball, but we really want to, like, defend when we get the chance.
Yeah.
So
y'all have one loss on the entire year, undefeated in SEC play. And y'all's one loss came against a top 5 team. I was actually in Durham, North Carolina this year for my season. And it's crazy to see that area has 2 top 5 teams, Duke and Wake Forest.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
So what's the landscape of college soccer right now? Going into postseason play, I know y'all are focused on SEC play, and I know SEC is a gauntlet. The game y'all won 1-0 with the corner kicks.
Oh, yes, Arkansas,
goal was unbelievable.
Right.
Like the corner kick shot to win that 1-0 was electric.
Right.
But kind of, what is the landscape of college soccer? Like what's the biggest challenges of the season? I know for a lot of sports, it's for football, it's once a week. For baseball, it's 4 or 5 days a week. For some people that are getting into soccer now that we have the number 1 team in the country,
Right.
Kind of explain to them how, like, what's the daily landscape, the grind of it? What's a normal week look like, I'd say, for y'all?
Right. So during, like, actual season, we're going to play 2 games a week typically. So, like, a Thursday, Sunday. And moving into postseason, or, like, this SEC tournament segment, there's a game on Sunday, which we got to buy, but 6 teams will be playing in that. Tuesday, and then I think Friday, Sunday. So it would be, if you're playing from Sunday to Sunday, like in that first round, you're going to be playing 4 games in like a span of 7 days, which is like absolutely crazy considering, you're playing 90-minute games.
Yeah.
And so it's really, really beneficial that we got the bye just for leg's sake. And so like when you look at it like grand picture, I feel we have our tournament set up like that. And then when you look at ACC play, it's interesting because they do the top 6 teams only get into the tournament, their ACC tournament. And so then I think the top 2 teams get a bye. And then so it ends up only being 3 games for everybody or 2 when ours is like 4. And so I think load management, like that's interesting to look at, obviously, because the season is so long and like games are so long. With like in the polls and stuff, if you look at it like historically, ACC teams like finish super, super high. And obviously they have so much quality and everything. But also I think when you look at this time of year, like going into the national tournament from your conference tournaments, like the loads are a lot different. So it's kind of interesting to look at. But I think both conferences obviously bring so much quality. And I think this year, like the SEC has had so many teams in the top 25, and obviously the ACC has as well. But it's awesome to see the growth in this conference because typically, like even a couple years ago, there were only a few in there that was probably like your Arkansas, your South Carolina, and stuff like that. But now it's like us in there, obviously, like Auburn's in there. So I think it's awesome to see from like top to bottom the growth of the conference. and like the really competition of it. And I've had so much fun like watching it this season and obviously participating in it, but seeing the, back and forth between teams. The table was really, really tight when you look at it. Like, we would go beat somebody, but they would lose to somebody, but then that team would beat somebody. Like, it was crazy back and forth this year. Yeah. And I just think that's a testament to like the growth that the overall conference has had.
Yeah, it came down to the wire towards the end on who would win the SEC. The Arkansas win kind of put y'all ahead of everyone, and it kind of gave y'all some, I wouldn't even say breathing room, but it gave y'all controlled y'all's own destiny after that. And talk to us about getting off the plane from A&M. I know that it was a late night, but y'all had some people kind of show up to kind of celebrate y'all's SEC title. What was that? Let's see, y'all clinched at A&M. Mm-hmm. Get on a plane, come home, SEC champs. What was that night like? First one in school history.
Right.
So, like, first one ever in school history. Y'all can always say that. And just talk us through that experience.
I mean, honestly, it's so surreal. And I know I keep using that word, but it's like, it really is like a dream.
It's a surreal year that y'all are having. So it's okay to overuse that word.
Yeah, it is. So, I mean, the game ended, and then automatically, like, we're busting out these signs, these T-shirts. Obviously, we've never been in this position before, so we didn't even think we would have anything. Like, we thought we were just going to be hugging each other and, like, having a good time, celebrating it, and, like, when we get back, we'll order everything and whatnot. But, no, it was awesome. Like, we're pulling out this stuff, and I'm like, no way. Like, this is so cool. And then people are dumping Gatorade on James. Like, people are running with, the camera sticks. Like, it was so much fun. And just in that moment to see like the joy of my teammates and like not only them, but like the staff and like support staff, everybody was just so excited. And it was so awesome just to see like something like pay off like in that, fashion. It was just awesome. And then obviously like coming back, I think we've created such an awesome community, like soccer community, that shows up for us every single day, every single game. They've become so invested. And so to see like the amount of people that came to just support us, like getting off a plane and just congratulate us, like it really brought tears to my eyes. I know it did to my teammates as well, because like it was just a testament to like not only, that exact moment, but everything we've created before that point. And it's been so special being a part of that moment, but also the ones prior that led up to that. I remember my like freshman, sophomore year, we'd be happy if we got like 400 people at the game. Like if just the little stands were filled, we were like, this is awesome.
And now y'all are pushing close to 3,000 people at soccer games. Beating our attendance records. Like what y'all are building, it's special.
Yes.
And I know you talk about the surreal feeling of the championship. That kind of speaks to what y'all built this summer, or back before the year started, whenever you said the 6 a.m. workouts. And that's what kind of makes you feel really good about it, is because all the behind the scenes stuff that isn't fun. It's not the fun part of sports. It's not the fun part of what we do, but that's awesome that y'all are getting to experience the good side of it all.
Right.
But talk to us about the crowds. Y'all are pushing close to 3,000. That's crazy.
Yes.
The soccer field looks great, but talk to us about the environment, the atmosphere that y'all have earned, first off, and the community and the fan base has kind of rallied around y'all. Talk to us about it.
Well, first off, Nick will be very happy that you're saying the soccer field looks great.
It looks fantastic.
That's his baby. So he'll be happy that you said that. But yeah, the community support has seriously been amazing. I mean, like I said, the growth from like my freshman year to now is like astronomical. And sometimes I go out in warm-ups and like there's already the bleachers full and everything, and I'm like, there's no way. Like, I just had to sit back and smile, because like to be a tiny part of that, and like the growth in women's soccer as a whole, like as a sport, is something that's so amazing. And just like the love that the community gives like me and also the girls on my team is so awesome. Like I just see people smiling so hard after games because like the people really care about who you are as a person, and like they're having conversations, about the game, but also like, hey Macey, how is this so and so, because they know I had this going on. Like it's so much more than soccer, which I love, because it's like, yes, they're supporting us as athletes, but also it's so deeper than that. Like it's the people, it's the connection,
I've said it for years. I've said it for years. That's what makes this place really, really special.
So I feel like moving forward, I'll transition out of this in a couple weeks even, but there's people that I've met like on the sidelines that I'm sure I'll keep in contact with forever. And so it's super, super special. And I love that we're getting that support, and I love even more that like the years to come, it's just going to keep growing. And to know that I was just a small part of like the growth that's going to happen is just like so special to me. And I'm super excited to just like, be a fan in the future and be part of that attendance. So
talk to us about like how early in the year y'all kind of, you said laughed at the early preseason rankings. Y'all are SEC regular season champions now. Talk to me like how that mindset changes. The target's now on y'all's back.
Right.
And how do you plan to navigate that? And it's kind of completely opposite of what it was preseason.
Right. Yeah.
So talk to us about the changes of that and kind of how y'all plan to navigate that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you said, it's a complete, kind of switch of mentality now. I think the beauty in it, though, is like we have a lot of veterans. We have a really experienced group. So I think, yes, we won the SEC, and we are so excited about that. But now it's like we celebrated it. Now it's like flip a switch. We're not champions of anything right now, Like, yes, we won that, but that was one segment, and now, like, we're approaching the next segment. And then when we're done with this, like, we'll approach the NCAA tournament. So I think it's kind of like compartmentalizing, that we did that, but now this is a whole new task at hand. So, we haven't won anything. And I think that we have a group that really, really is dialed into that mindset, and never takes anything for granted as well. So it's not like anybody's gonna show up and be like, oh, we've been here before, like we know what we're doing, because we won a SEC championship, but we've never won like a SEC tournament. So no, I don't think anybody is gonna show up with the mindset of like, oh, we've been here before. We know what this is about. Like, yeah, we know what the conference is about, but like there's still so much to happen at the tournament. So I think that's the beauty in having like this veteran group and this experienced group, because that's kind of the mentality going into this next segment. But yeah, it should be a really, really fun time. Super excited, obviously, just to get the opportunity to go. And yeah, we're so thankful. We're so ready.
So you explained how the SEC tournament is going to work out the next week, a little bit, the next week for y'all. Short week for y'all, thankfully, because of the bye. But after that NCAA tournament, what's the landscape of that? What's the format? Explain to some people that are kind of just now getting into soccer.
Right.
I know the fans that have been following y'all for a long time understand it, but for anyone that's kind of getting in just with the season y'all are having, explain it to them. What are they looking at after the SEC tournament?
Yeah. So after the SEC tournament, there will be a selection show where all the brackets will come out. So last year, I don't even remember what seed we were. I think we were like a 6 or a 7. But we hosted the first round, and then we traveled to California to play there. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed this week or this season, that we'll be a higher seed and we'll get to host more home games, and we can even host like a regional or something. But yeah, so it basically works. There's like 60-something teams.
Probably 64.
64, yeah.
I think 64.
I know I should know this number, but I don't. And then it just kind of dwindles down from there. But yeah, so hoping that we get a little bit higher seed. Don't want to jinx anything, but
y'all go take care of business in Pensacola, and then we'll see what happens. But,
But
so it's a selection show, regionals, and you're hoping to host a regional.
Yes.
And that's what I'm sure would be exciting. I'd love to see the crowd that y'all could get for that. Now, who would y'all play opening round or second round? I guess you could say y'all's opening round. Who will y'all get?
We either
winner
get
of who?
Kentucky or Tennessee, I think.
Okay. And how's going into the SEC tournament? Is it And for y'all, do y'all like having an idea of who y'all are playing? Like, is it better for y'all to play someone y'all have played before, or do y'all kind of like playing a new team, I guess?
I think I don't really know if we have a preference. I think obviously if you play somebody, you know them, but on the flip side, like they know you.
Yep.
So there's that. But playing a new team, I feel like is always interesting just because, you know, you never played them. You don't know what to expect. I know last year at this time, I think it was like the end of our SEC season, we played like Alabama, then Arkansas. Then we flipped it in the tournament, in the SEC tournament, and then we played Alabama, Arkansas again. So we were like, there's no, like we played two teams back to back. So that was interesting. And I do think like at the end of that, we were kind of like, okay, we want to play somebody new. So in that case, like, yeah. But if we get somebody again, you know, we're just going to, what can we do even better from that we did from the last game? But anybody that we get, I think we're going to be really, really excited.
What message do you have to Mississippi State fans as y'all start y'all's postseason journey after coming off of SEC regular season championship? What message do you have for them? You know, whether that be follow us along. What message do you have for them? What y'all are trying to do? What y'all's goals are? What you got?
Well, first and foremost, we want to say just like thank you. We're really overwhelmed by the support that we've had throughout this season. It's been something that's really, really special. And it's not something that we take for granted at all. Like it really means so much to us. And then just going forward, you know, they really do make the difference for us. All the cowbells, you know, all the yelling at the home games, like it really gives us extra motivation. And we really don't only do this for us, like we're doing it for the community. It's such a special feeling knowing that we're not only playing, you know, for us, for Mississippi State, but for the Starkville community in general. And like one of my favorite things after games is just going and seeing all the little kids that are there and like all the Macey, like they're so precious, and knowing that like I'm inspiring a younger generation of hopefully like soccer players or even just athletes is so special to me, and I know that's so special to my team as well. So just moving forward, like just knowing that we are so thankful and you're there just as much as part of our journey, you know, as we are, and we really are approaching this in a collective sense and doing it for everybody.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see it. The attendance records, what y'all are breaking, it's y'all have earned it, and that's the coolest part. Mississippi State does such a good job of, you know, supporting their teams, and especially whenever you get some momentum, they will show up in large numbers. And I'm sure that, you know, if y'all can take care of business SEC tournament, hopefully we can break those records again.
Yes.
For the regionals.
Yes.
But congratulations
Thank
on a
you.
fantastic year. It's been really fun to follow along. But y'all go take care of business down in Florida.
Yes, it's going to be a good time.
Yep, and then we can worry about the regionals and stuff after that.
Yes, exactly.
But y'all go win the SEC tournament. Win the regular season championship and the SEC tournament.
Yes.
So that's the goal right now.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'm joined with Macey Hodge, team captain of the Mississippi State women's soccer team that is undefeated in SEC play going into the SEC tournament, coming off our school's first SEC title regular season. Now we need to go win an SEC tournament and kind of go 1-2 punch there. But thank y'all for tuning in. Congratulations once again on a great year.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. God bless Hell State.